Hello friends, welcome back to this series on common grammatical errors in English. In this series, we are going to discuss the common grammatical errors we make in our daily communication in the English language. This lesson is being presented by me, Taran. In this part of the course, we are going to discuss common errors in adjectives and adverbs. So, what is an adjective? An adjective is a word which defines an attribute of a noun like big, small, red, tall, short, long, or intelligent. So let's begin with the rules governing the usage of adjectives. So the first rule says that adjectives of quantity show how much of a thing is meant. Now adjectives of quantity like some, much, little, enough, all, no, any, great, half, sufficient, whole are used for uncountable nouns only. Now what does this mean? Let's look at the examples. It'll make things clear to you. I ate a few rice. Now you don't say a few rice because you can't count rice. You would say I ate some rice. Now you're not going to count each and every grain of rice, right? Therefore, you can't say a few rice because few is only used with countable nouns. There are a few more examples. I have enough money to buy my book. Now, money is money. You can't count money. If you say you have so many rupees, then you can count it. But if you say money, in general, it is taken as uncountable. Therefore, I have enough money. That means I have sufficient money to buy my book. She had stayed alone all her life. Now you can't count someone's life, right? It is another uncountable noun. All her life means throughout her life she has stayed alone. Now many people attended the seminar today. Once again, people is an uncountable noun. Many people means there were a lot of people that attended the seminar today. Now have you got any information? Now information is an abstract noun. Once again it becomes uncountable. So you say any information. You can't say few information, right? Or any other countable adjective cannot be used. Now the next rule states that numeral adjectives are used for countable nouns only and they show how many persons or things are meant or in what order a person or thing stands. Now it states that I have taught you little things. The correct form would be I have taught you a few things. Now a few things can be counted. There, if you say many things, you can say many. Many is also used with countable nouns, but you can't use little. Little is for uncountable nouns. Now let's see the difference between little and few. Basically, when you use few, you use it with a countable noun, and when you use little, you use it with an uncountable noun. Now let's look at the examples. Although the car is old, I have few problems with it. There are very few problems with it that you can count, right? He is so stubborn that there's little use in talking to him. Now use again abstract noun. So you use little because you can't count it. There are some abstract nouns with which you can use uh, the countable adjectives. Don't get confused. Just focus on the meaning, whether the noun is countable or not countable. It has nothing to do with abstract. There's little chance of rain in the next few days. Now, this example shows the usage of both the words. There is little chance. Now, little is being used here with chance. It is an uncountable noun. Few days. Now, days you can count on your hands. Therefore, we are using few. Now, if you say, I have given him a few chances already. Now, if you say chances, that means you can count the chances that you have given to that person. There, the usage of few becomes correct. Just focus on the examples, you'll get the idea. Ben has few friends in London. Now he can count the friends he has in London. Therefore, few friends. I happen to like spiders, but few others agree with me. Once again, it's a countable noun. You have little patience. Now you cannot count patience or how much patience a person has. You have little patience. Now moving on, when cardinal and ordinal are used together, ordinal precedes the cardinal. What does that mean? Cardinal numbers are the counting numbers that indicate quantity, like 4, 5, 6, 7. Ordinal numbers indicate the order or rank of things in a set. That means sixth, fourth, fifth. Now, the example states the four first boys will be given the chance. Now, instead, we should say the first four boys will be given the chance according to the rule. Now, the next rule is later, latest refer to time, whereas latter and last refer to position. Now, you must have seen in a few sentences that they talk about the former and the latter. Now, latter means position. When in a sentence you're referring to two things, when you say latter, it refers to the second thing. Now let's look at the examples. I reached at 10 a.m. but he was later than I expected. Now this is not correct. It has to be later than I expected. A few more examples just to make the meanings of these words clear. Arjun found cookies and chocolates in the cupboard. See, two things are here, um, cookies and chocolates. Squiggly craved the latter. Means Squiggly wanted the chocolates. Right. The last train leaves the station at 11:30. The last train means the last in order. Means there's no train after that. Now the next one is farther means more distance. Farther means more distant or advanced, whereas further means additional. Let's look at the examples. He insisted on farther improvement. Now, farther is related to distance, so farther cannot be used here. He insisted on further improvement, means more improvement. Now, let's look at a few examples which will make the difference clear. The archaeologists plan to excavate further into the hillside, means they are going to excavate deeper into the hillside. How much farther is it to Denver? It means how much more distance is left to Denver. We don't plan to run any farther than 3 miles. We don't plan to run more than 3 miles. Now it's talking about distance. This project keeps getting the company further into debt. Again, it means deeper into debt. Now the last rule for today, each indicates two or more people or things. Every is used when referring to all members of a group or three or more. So when you're talking about three or more members of a group, generally we use every. If you're talking about two or more people or things, we use each. Also, every is used to generalize and it is used for a much larger number. So every of the two boys will get a prize. This becomes wrong. Each of the two boys will get a prize. This is correct. Now let's look at a few more examples just to make the meaning clear, just to get the difference, just to understand the difference between these two words. Give each child some chocolate. That means give each and every child some chocolate. Every girl in the class went to the party. That means every girl who's in the class went to the party. It's generalizing. Last week it rained each day. Like it, on each of the 7 days it rained. She has read every book in the library. Now again it's generalizing. So every book in the library. So that's all for today. If you like this course, please rate and review this course. Your feedback is valuable to us. It will help me and the team bring more engaging courses to you. And if you have any doubts, please leave them in the comment section below. Now, if you want to make a voluntary contribution, if you have liked the course so much, please make a voluntary contribution by clicking on contribute. Thank you and bye bye until next time. Hello friends, welcome to the next lesson in the series Common Grammatical Errors in English. This lesson is being presented by Taran. In today's lesson, we'll discuss some more errors in the usage of adjectives. So let's begin. The first rule states that to express quantity or degree, some is used in affirmative sentences and any is used in negative or interrogative sentences. So let's look at the examples. They'll give you a better idea. Have you bought some mangoes? Now notice this is an interrogative sentence. So we don't say some mangoes, we say have you bought any mangoes? That means have you bought any mangoes at all? Now let's discuss the difference between some and any. Now, since the rule said some is used for affirmative and any is used for negative and interrogative sentences. Now, affirmative means positive sentences. So, just look at the sentences and notice the difference. I have some money. Affirmative sentence. I don't have any money. Negative. I put some jam in the sandwich. I didn't put any jam in the sandwich. Now both are correct, but one is positive and one is negative. Do we have any jam or are we all out? That means, do we have any jam at all or have we run out of jam? Next few sentences. I have never heard of any of these artists. Never, negative. Therefore, we use any. Let's go have some fun. Affirmative sentence, some. Do you have any wrapping paper? Interrogative, we use any. Would you like some ketchup to go with your fries? Now notice this is the kind of example where we can use both the words. Would you like any ketchup to go with your fries? Would also be correct. Now since this is positive, you can also use some. Would you like some ketchup to go with your fries? In the previous sentence, do you have any wrapping paper? You can't use some here because the meaning is, do you have any wrapping paper at all or you don't? Right? So, before we get to the next rule, let's discuss the degrees of comparison in adjectives. There are 3 degrees of comparison in adjectives: positive, comparative, and superlative. Superlative is the highest degree. Now, when I say positive, comparative, and superlative, they won't make any sense to you unless I give you an example. So, good, better, best. Good is positive, better comparative, and best. Now this can also be tall, taller, tallest. You can also say bad, worse, and worst. Now if you can't use the est or suffix with any word, I mean adjective, what you do is you use more or most instead. So let's look at the examples. No other metal is as precious as gold. This is the most simplest. This is the simplest form. Gold is more precious than any other metal. We are comparing it, so comparative degree. Gold is the most precious of all metals. Now this is superlative. Now gold is the most precious. There is no metal as precious as gold. Now let's go in the reverse order. Superlative. Susie is one of the cleverest girls in the class. Susie is cleverer than most other girls in the class. Now the simplest form would be few girls in the class are as clever as Susie. Now all the three sentences mean the same thing, but we are using the adjectives in a different form. Now let's get to the rules related to degrees of comparison. So in comparing two things, the comparative should be used and the superlative should not be used. Now when you say which is the best of the two, it is not right. Instead, you should say which is the better of the two. Now when you're comparing two situations which are nearly or equally bad, what do you say? Which is the worst of the two? No, you would say which is the worst of the two. A few more examples. Grammar. This grammar topic is easiest than the last one. Now when you use than, you're comparing. So this grammar topic is easier than the last one. Russian grammar is most difficult than English grammar. No, you should say Russian grammar is more difficult than English grammar. The next rule states that when two qualities of the same person or thing are compared, the comparative er is not used. Instead, more is used. Now, he is wiser than brave. Two qualities of the same person. Therefore, we say he is more wise than brave. We can't use er here. Therefore, we use more wise. Now, the next rule states that when comparison is made by means of a comparative, the thing compared should be excluded from the class of things with which it is compared by using other or some other such word. He is cleverer than any boy in the class. Now to exclude this boy from the other boys, we would say he is cleverer than any other boy in the class. We add other. Now the next rule states that when comparison is made by means of a superlative, the thing compared should include the class of things with which it is compared. Now notice the difference between this rule and the previous rule. Here we are talking of the superlative degree of an adjective, and previously we were talking about the comparative degree. So when you're comparing, you have to add the word other, but when you're not comparing, when you're using the superlative degree, you don't use other. He is cleverest of all other boys in the class. Here, other becomes unnecessary. You simply say, he is cleverest of all the boys in the class. Similarly, he is the strongest of all other men. Once again, other becomes unnecessary. He is the strongest of all men. Moving on, when two persons or things are compared, it is important that the same parts of things should be compared. Now, the population of Mumbai is greater than Delhi. Now, we cannot compare the population of Mumbai and Delhi as a whole. You would compare the population of Mumbai with the population of Delhi. Therefore, we add that of the population of Bombay is greater than that of Delhi. Sorry, I used Mumbai instead of Bombay. So, the population of Bombay is greater than that of Delhi instead of greater than Delhi. That of means that we are comparing the population of Delhi, not Delhi itself. So that's all for today. Please rate and review this course if you have liked this course, and your feedback is really important to us. Also, you can leave your doubts and queries in the comment section below. If you want to contribute in any way, um, you want to make a voluntary contribution and you want to buy me a coffee, please click on contribute. Thank you and bye bye. Hello friends, welcome back to the course on common grammatical errors in English. In today's lesson, once again, we'll discuss the common errors in usage of adjectives. Before we get to discussing the rules and examples, let's quickly revise what are the degrees of comparison of adjectives. There are three degrees of comparison: the positive, the comparative, and the superlative. In the positive degree, the adjective is used in its simplest form. In the comparative degree, the adjective is used when the noun is being compared to some other noun. And in the superlative degree, the adjective is in its form when the noun is being compared to the rest or to everything else, right? So the first rule that we are going to discuss today is double comparatives and superlatives should not be used. Now, what does this mean? He is the most cleverest boy in the class. Now, you don't use most and cleverest boy in the class together. You would say most clever or cleverest. So, the correct form would be he is the cleverest boy in the class. Similarly, we have these examples here. Nabo told me the most funniest story this morning. This is a very common error that we all make. Just to exaggerate the meaning or the context of the sentence, we would say most funniest or bestest. Now, this is not the way we use adjectives. We would say, Nabo told me the funniest story this morning. You can't use a double superlative. Now, let's get to an example where we see a double comparative. I was more tireder than I'd than ever I'd been in my life. Instead, you would write, I was more tired than I'd ever been in my life. You don't use er and more together. You can only use one of them. The next rule states that the comparative adjectives superior, inferior, senior, junior, prior, anterior, posterior, prefer, etc. should be followed by to instead of than. So you don't say he is senior than me, you say he is senior to me. Instead of than, we use to. Now, in the next rule, what it states is that adjectives like unique, ideal, perfect, complete, universal, entire, extreme, chief, full square, and round, which do not admit different degrees of comparison, should not be compared. Now, unique does not have degrees of comparison, and similarly, all these words do not have any degrees of comparison. You can't say more unique or most unique. You can't say most ideal. Ideal is already in its superlative degree, or perfect is always in its superlative degree. So, it is the most unique thing is wrong. You would say it is a unique thing. Similarly, you don't say he is the most ideal person for me, or he is the most ideal match for me. You would say he is the ideal match for me. Now, let's look at a few more examples. We found the most ideal site to build a cottage. Once again, ideal comes alone, it does not come with most. We found the ideal site to build a cottage. This one is correct. Again, this is the most universal truth of life. Most universal again is incorrect. You would say this is the universal truth of life. Universal is also not used with degrees of comparison, right? The next rule states that all the adjectives which refer to the same noun should be in the same degree of comparison. He is the wisest and honest worker in the office. Now notice that wisest is the superlative degree and honest is in the positive degree. So instead, we would put honest in the superlative degree. So the sentence becomes he is the wisest and most honest worker in the office. Similarly, there's another example. He is the wisest and brave soldier in the army. Once again, brave is in positive and wisest is in superlative degree. So we have to match the degrees of comparison. Therefore, the sentence becomes he is wisest and he is the wisest and bravest soldier in the army. Now, the next rule, what it says is elder and eldest should be used for persons only. Strictly speaking, they are used for the members of the same family only. However, you can use older and oldest for both persons and things. So, he is my older brother is not correct since we are talking about the same family. He is my elder brother. Let's take a few more examples just to make things clear. I have three sons. Paul is the eldest. Now, once again, we are talking about the same family. Now, Paul is the eldest means he's the his age is more than the other sons. So, since we are talking about the same family, we say eldest. John is the oldest man in the organization. Now, since I said older and oldest can be used for both persons and things. So, here the usage of oldest is correct. Here it means John has been working for the organization for a very long time. Similarly, in the next example, you'll see Delhi is one of the oldest cities in India or of India. What does it mean? Delhi is one of the oldest cities. That means it was settled before many other cities of India was settled. So oldest. Now Delhi is a thing, and we are using oldest, and John is a person, and we are still using oldest. So you get the idea. Now that's all for today. If you find the scores helpful, please rate and review the scores. Your feedback is valuable to us. You can leave your comments down below in the comment section. If you want to contribute, please make a voluntary contribution by clicking on contribute. Thank you and bye bye until next time.